Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to give you a short update on where we are with the patient experience data work. As you know, we had a workshop in September 2022 where we agreed a number of actions needed to progress in the EU in this important area. And then we had a brief discussion in November with the working parties. So today is the first update to show you the work we've been doing, very focused on the actions that were agreed at the workshop. Next slide, please. Well, this is a slide just to remind you of where we are in the EU. The involvement of patients providing their own data, experience of disease, and on their treatments is really very important for evidence generation, both during medicines development and regulatory approval, and also post-marketing. And this has been agreed as a key priority for the EU regulatory network. We see some patient experience data coming in applications, but they're not systematically included in all submissions. And that was the reason why we decided we need to move ahead on this. And as you know, this is not only important for regulators, but also for downstream decisions in terms of HTA payers, etc. In Europe at the moment, we are encouraging companies to come for scientific advice or for to come for scientific advice mainly when they're developing a product and have questions on how to progress on patient data, also qualification of novel methodologies. And there's not much guidance, regulatory guidance. All the work that we are doing in terms of providing guidance for developers is being done in the framework of ICH, so at global level. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the actions that was identified at the workshop was the need to progress in a strategic manner with goals and really responsibilities and involving the network experts. And the way we're progressing on this is we're working on a list of actions and priorities that will be shared with you. And these at present we're discussing internally. And hopefully in a few months' time, we'll be ready to share all the timelines and priorities, etc. Next one, please. The topic of regulatory guidance, as mentioned, we are working with ICH, but in the meantime, because it might take a while to have a more methodological guidance completed, we are starting to work on a reflection paper to provide advice on the approach to generate, collect, and analyze patient experience data. So because this is a newly emerging scientific area and requires a multidisciplinary approach, we have set up an internal working group to coordinate cross-agency all the expertise in this area. And also we will be liaising with network experts. So we're planning to have this draft final by the end of this year and then go for public consultation in the first quarter of 2024. With regard to the ICH guidance, as I mentioned, we're contributing to this work, and the idea is to support a global development of patient experience data. So some of this work may be reinitiated at the beginning of next year, and then we'll be moving forward with that as well. Next one, please. Yeah, the workshop also identified the need to achieve alignment among decision makers, and the multi-stakeholder cooperation was really identified like the best approach to move forward. And there were discussions on exploring additional engagement opportunities. So, and here we could look at different methodologies. There were mentions of workshops or focus groups for some of the key topics. So our position right now is that we want to focus in getting this reflection paper published, and during the consultation, and also depending on the comments and the actions that we identified, then we will discuss with you what types of other multi-stakeholder engagement methodologies are most optimal to really work on those aspects that come up from the consultation. And for the time being, we have been presenting this progress and discussing the actions from the workshop with different partners and also with you, as I mentioned. We've presented this to UNETA. We discussed with FDA colleagues at the patient cluster. We're working with a big data steering group. And then yesterday we presented this same progress update to industry at the platform meeting. Next slide, please. Another topic that came up at the workshop was the really need to be more transparent and explain better on when regulators accept patient experience data for decision making, and see how we can improve the reflection of this in the assessment report. We have, as an agency, agreed to introduce a section on PD in the assessment report template. And there's a reflection ongoing on how to do this. And also there were discussions at the workshop on how to reflect patient experience data in the product information. So at present, this is a consideration that we'll take at a later stage. We are prioritizing the work on the assessment report template. The product information for some medicines, the patient experience data can be reflected in the product information when available and when of high quality and accepted by assessors. But there is no dedicated section. So this we could look at the next stage after we have, as I said, implemented the PD section in the assessment report template. Next slide, please. Yeah, another aspect that was discussed is that it would be important to reflect patient experience data in the orphan maintenance assessment report, or reflect on how to best reflect it, because in many cases during the discussion of significant benefit, this is already there. And here it would be good to hear your views as to how you think this could be done, and whether it's optimal at the moment, or how to progress on this area. And I understand my colleague Christina from the orphan team is following this discussion today and may be able to address questions later on. Next slide, please. Yeah, another area that we all agreed at the workshop that offers a lot of opportunities in the area of patient experience data is the digitalizations. And here we identify all the big data work and in the context of the European health data space, like really an area to align with. So what we have been doing these months is discuss with our colleagues following the big data steering group on how to integrate the actions from the patient experience data into their work plan. And this has been now done and also will be discussed with you once we have the next opportunity, including all the actions that I mentioned we're prioritizing here. Next slide, please. Yeah, and a final area that was obviously very important to be able to progress is the need for resources and technical expertise. We're still looking at options on how we can increase capacity. With regards to training, there are some actions in the big data work plan referring to strengthening the network's skills and offering some training for patients, healthcare professionals, and academia. And there are plans for a survey on training needs for Q1 of 2024. Next slide. Yeah, thank you. So this is just to finish a bit what we've been, what I've been explaining until now, that obviously we need to be very careful here. We all want to progress ahead with PD, is of really strategic importance for the agency and to make sure that medicines are developed and provide the best outcomes for patients. But is like a new science, and we need to approach things from this multidisciplinary perspective that I mentioned. We have the stakeholder engagement element, but obviously there are also very detailed methodological discussions that will need to be embedded in all this. So our first step has been to set up this cross-agency group to coordinate and also generate the content for this work and involve the experts from the EU network. There are two really important deliverables that are in the CHMP work plan for this year. One is the reflection paper that I mentioned, and the second is all the work that's been done to improve transparency in the assessment report. And I'd like to conclude with this, thanking everyone at the agency who is contributing to this work, and we'll be happy to take your questions. Thank you.